All right, so long COVID is a disability. Kind of. So I'm going to try to explain what that really means. On July 26th, the Biden administration announced that long COVID could qualify as a disability under federal law. That said, it requires an individual assessment. That individual assessment will determine whether you can get accommodations at work and school using federal resources. And yeah, that's the Spark Notes. But if you want the details, then hang around and I'm going to get into how this affects SSDI a little bit too. So stay tuned for the rest of the video. What's good? My name is Brandon Paul. I am a COVID long hauler. I want to clarify, I'm not a medical professional, nor am I in any way associated with any of the programs or government organizations or publications from whom I'm going to be sharing this information. Honestly, I'm just a patient who's frankly tired of things just not going my way and it being so difficult to navigate having this debilitating disease. So I'm just out here doing my part, trying to help you. So, you know what? If you find this video helpful, then you could do me a favor by liking, commenting, subscribing, and hitting that bell icon so you can see future COVID-related videos amongst some of my poetry and other stuffs. But yeah, join me for my COVID updates so that we can try and figure this stuff out together. Also, share this with any other long haulers that you think could use a guidance, because I'm sure it would be helpful to them too. Alright, so let's get into it. The Department of Health and Human Services, which I'm going to refer to as the HHS from now on, released some guidance on long COVID as a disability under the ADA, or the Americans with Disabilities Act, Section 504 and Sections 1557. So if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty, I have all the resources that I mentioned here linked in the description box below, along with some other resources that you might find helpful on these exact topics. So, as I mentioned, one needs to be individually assessed to determine whether your long COVID could be a disability. This means long COVID is not always a disability. So, when is it? Well, the document goes on to explain that long COVID is a physiological condition. It can cause physical or mental impairment with symptoms and conditions such as lung disease, heart damage, kidney damage, neurological damage, so on and so forth, lingering emotional and other mental conditions. If you're here, chances are you're familiar with what these symptoms could be. They are extremely varied. They vary from person to person. So accordingly, long COVID is a physical or mental impairment under the ADA Section 504 and Section 1557.12. So because of all of these things, long COVID can substantially limit one or more major life activities. And this is a whole range of things, right? So it can limit your ability to care for yourself. It can limit your mobility. It can limit your thinking, writing, learning, reading, just all of the ways in which we interact with the world and have to cope for ourselves and potentially make a living are now affected by this disease. As an example, a person with long COVID who has memory lapses or brain fog is going to have substantial difficulty with their brain function, their concentration, and that could affect school or work. But all right, so let's say you go through this individual assessment and you are deemed disabled. What does that really mean for you? Well, that means you're entitled to the same protections as anyone else with a disability is granted under the ADA. Put simply, you're entitled to full and equal opportunities to participate in and enjoy all aspects of civil and commercial life. So, all right, let's break this down into some examples. If you are a student struggling with brain fog, perhaps you could get more time on your test. If you're in a store and are in line for something, you could announce that you're disabled and sit down without losing your place in line. And these are all the accommodations that should be made available to you in order to prevent you from discrimination and ensure that you have your civil rights. This then extends to modifying policies that affect you and the way in which you live your life. But all right, let's get into, chances are, what a lot of you might actually be here for: SSDI. how does all of this affect SSDI? In short, right now, I don't think it does. So the guidance from the HHS seems to have no overlap whatsoever with the functioning of the SSA, or the Social Security Administration, which I will henceforth refer to as the SSA throughout the continuation of this video. So the SSA classifies and diagnoses disability in completely different ways, involving requiring that the disability prevent you from working for a full 12 months. And I quote, "To meet our definition of disability, you must not be able to engage in any substantial gainful activity, SGA, because of a medically determinable physical or mental impairment that is either A, expected to result in death, B, has lasted or is expected to last for a continuous period of at least 12 months. You know, I guess I kind of did just gloss over the expected to result in death part, didn't I? You know what, I'm sure I'll fix this in post. Anyway, from what I have seen on the interwebs, it seems like getting disability benefits for someone with long COVID is extremely difficult. As much as this is because, from what I've seen, the SSA is difficult to deal with anyway, this is amplified when you have long COVID, and that's because of the very specific way in which the SSA diagnoses disability. Anyway, I'm going to be giving some thought as to whether SSDI is something that I am going to pursue myself, since it just seems like it's a whole other thing where I'm just going to be given the runaround a whole bunch, and I'm already dealing with so much with trying to focus on my health and trying to get these YouTube channels up and running to help you guys out. But my understanding is all that stuff can also be affected by your earnings. So it just feels like there's so much to deal with and figure out, and I feel very overwhelmed and very stressed. If you know anything about long COVID, you know that it is very much affected by stress. So yeah, it's just an overall unfortunate position, but I'm going to decide if that's something that I'm going to pursue. So yeah, who knows? I may have an update on that for you in the coming weeks. But let me know down in the comments if you've applied for SSDI, how it's going. If you want a video that goes more into detail about the SSDI stuff and the social security system, and honestly, like, even talking about it right now makes me want to take a nap. But I guess if there is enough interest, I will do my darndest. But anyway, on a final note, before I close out this video, I wanted to mention something that I think is really important. There's a 5-month waiting period from the onset of disability that you need to wait before you'll be paid out at all, which is a little ridiculous, especially considering that in the last 10 years, 110,000 people have died while waiting for their SSDI to get paid out. If you want to do something about that, I've got a link in the description box to a form at stopthewaitnow.org that you can sign to join a movement of people fighting to end these exclusions that are bankrupting and frankly killing folk. So anyway, if you found this video helpful, like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.